Jenny Ryce is a mindset and accredited executive coach, speaker, podcast host of Winning with Wellness, best-selling author, and of course, the president of Your Holistic Earth, a global community advocating holistic wellness, connection, and professional collaboration. Jenny is passionate about connecting others to the power of mindset and wellness. When she is not pursuing her professional passions, Jenny can be found spending time in nature, getting grounded, and finding inspiration. Jenny believes that you should always capitalize on your greatest asset, you. Jenny, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's so fun to have the tables turned. So yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait. I can't wait to dig into this with you. It's going to be amazing.
We need to watch the time because I feel like we have a lot to chat about and so much to share. So let's get to it. So Jenny, of course, is the president of Your Holistic Earth. Obviously, you're passionate about wellness in all ways, shapes, and forms. How did your wellness journey start? What did that look like for you?
Oh my gosh. You know, I would say I physically hit rock bottom, if that makes sense. I was in a place where on the outside looking in, and some of you have heard my story and some of you haven't, but on the outside looking in, I looked super healthy. I had the six pack. I had all the things, right? You know, great skin, six pack, successful at work, all of those incredible things. But every single day I woke up feeling behind the eight ball. I was tired. My muscles hurt. So I was finding that when I worked out that they weren't recovering, if that makes sense. There were so many red flags that were happening. And I would say that the catalyst was when I found myself having to go and get a heart monitor in my early 40s to determine if my heart was in jeopardy. And the interesting thing was that process made me realize that everything that I was doing was not for me, it was against me, if that makes sense. Because thankfully, there was nothing wrong with my heart. Shocker, it was high stress, high achiever, overworker, got to do all the things, you know, I can achieve. And what I was achieving was a hugely unhealthy life, which was so interesting. I wasn't sleeping. I was having panic attacks. When Sandra shared this too, that internal dialogue was on repeat constantly. And the problem is it wasn't good. It wasn't like, Jenny, you're so great. You're amazing. It was like, Jenny, what if they find out you don't know what you're doing? Jenny, you don't have enough time to get things done in the day. Jenny, you're failing at being a good mom because you're never present. You're working too hard. Like it was constant. So what's interesting about this long-winded explanation is one, I want to inspire people to know that if any of this resonates with you, you're not alone. And that I think was the biggest challenge that I was running into. I was afraid to tell my truth because I was a high achiever. I was successful. So if I let people see the cracks, would they believe that I was capable of, employment? Would they believe I was capable of achieving and all those kind of things? And what I found is I was alone. And not only was I alone, I was sick and I was sad. And I knew with that combination, if I went to my general GP, who is amazing, by the way, it's part of my wellness team. I'm a big believer in westernized medicine. So, don't get me wrong when you hear my story. But I knew if I went and saw her, the first thing she was going to do was recommend putting me on medication of some kind. And I had at the time a 95-year-old grandmother that took aspirin and that was it. And she's kind of like she was and still is my vision around, once you start something, it's one of those things that's really hard to get off of. So what happened is I sought support outside of natural, like I was seeking natural resources. I started going to Reiki. I started using meditation. I had my whole diet revamped. I stopped eating. So honestly, Joanne, when you were saying you don't do eggs and you don't do dairy, I was like, woman, you're preaching to the choir. I was like, oh, someone in the room that can't eat eggs. That was the hardest thing. Honestly, I gave up drinking alcohol. the hardest thing to give up was eating eggs. I'm not going to lie. I loved eggs. They were my favorite, but so I digress. But what was interesting, I realized very quickly that I needed to find like-minded people. I needed to find a home. And ironically, it led me to Your Holistic Earth. So I was a member long before I was a member and a seeker long before I became who I am today, the face you see on all the newsletters and such. So that's what got me here. That's how I'm here. That's what led me to knowing there had to be a better way to be proactive in my wellness.
Well, and I love that you shared the piece about, the stress and the anxiety and the busyness and all of those things, because it often feels like that's the expectation. That's the norm. And if you're not busy and you're not stressed, then you're doing something wrong. And so that's what I love about your story and Xandra's story and so many of these inspirational stories is this is the shift. We're breaking the cycle because we don't need to be that way anymore. Yeah. So what are some of the tools then that you use or that you've implemented or that you've learned to help you with that? Because it's easy, as Xandra said, to slip back into some of those thoughts or those patterns. What do you do?
I love that you bring that up and Xandra said it beautifully, especially at the end. She's like, I'm showing you the truth here, people. Like I'm still not 100% past this journey. We are always going to find ourselves revisiting these things every time we level up or step outside or try something or put ourselves in, a space, because these habits that I built them for 40 years before I realized they weren't serving me anymore. That is that's not like a neuro pathway. That's like a trench, right? Like that is like grounded into me. So what I really found is, especially not only with my personal journey, but working with people, we got to start with one thing. So like many things, we get really excited about creating change. And then we tackle on about 50 things to do at once. And then, oh my gosh, like 2 weeks down the road, we're lucky if we're scraping through one, right? We want to build trust with ourselves and wins with ourselves. And that's something I had to do. I had to pick one thing to focus on because I was addicted to busy. That was like my badge of honor. So if you ask me how I was, I didn't tell you how I was. I told you how busy I was. Because it was like, woohoo, if I'm busy, I'm successful. Telling you right now, that's not true. I am just looking really, edgy and, important. I'm actually wasn't thriving or successful in any of areas like that. So what I did is picked one area to work on, and that was really getting comfortable with silence. That was very challenging. Because the silence is where, when we're busy, we get to hide from everything, right? Like, oh, I don't have time to deal with that. Just shut that down. I don't have time to address that. I'm going to shove that down, right? So when you're quiet, it starts going like, hey, you're hurting here and you've decided to ignore me. And now that you're quiet, I can start talking a little bit louder. So stepping into that spirituality piece has been the most rewarding, and I would say the most challenging, because you have to, or I had to, I'm not saying everybody does and everybody's journey will be different. I had to listen to what was hurting. And I was allowing old stories, and this is where mindset is so intriguing to me. It's a choice. I was allowing these old stories to drive me, to push me, to make decisions for me. And I wasn't reminding myself, I have free will. I get to choose. I get to choose. And I would excuse myself out of, not doing the things because someone needed me. Again, there was a deadline, all these kind of things. So I would say the first tool that I did was get quiet. Whatever that looks like for anybody, it could be journaling, it could be meditating, honestly, it could be walking in the woods, it could be humming a song in silence, whatever that looks like. and just seeing what surfaces up. And if you give yourself time, you'd be surprised, because we're wiser now. Okay, so this is the interesting thing. The 16-year-old me that was traumatized by an event is not 16 anymore. I'm a 50-year-old, well, actually, I'm 51 now. I just had my birthday. I'm a 51-year-old woman. I'm dealing with these issues mentally and emotionally with a huge toolbox that I didn't have when I was 16 years old. So as I dust all of it off and I look at it, I'm not saying it's always easy, but I find I have more tools to manage it, if that makes sense. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the piece about getting quiet is so important. And, I share that with clients all the time about getting in that space. And there is a lot of avoidance around it because it gets crappy. Like this whole healing journey, the wellness journey, like it is full of ups and downs, but it's so worth it. And I think that that's what our audience needs to take away is that, again, like you said, that community and having that support is, going to help you through that.
Well, and the beautiful thing about it is knowing, not that we want other people to be in suffering, that's what I'm saying, but knowing everybody's going through the same thing. We're all doing it, and I want to share this, especially like for people that are hearing this, and maybe someone you're talking to tomorrow might need to hear this. I've worked with people that have zero money in their wallet and have millions of dollars in their wallet. The full gamut, worked with them all. And I can tell you what, we're all afflicted with the same thing. It's all the same thing. We're just in different houses, different cars, and different bank accounts. So when you're going through this, know you're not alone. And I think that is really powerful. And what's really beautiful as we develop skills around how to support ourselves, to grow, to move forward, to build our mindset and our awareness. Every time those things surface, because Xandra, you said it beautifully, it kind of pops up every once in a while, right? When they surface up, we have developed stronger mechanisms to see it for what it is, acknowledge it, and move quicker. So I'm not saying they aren't ever going to come back up again and you're like, I'm still working on this. You're going to be working on this for the rest of your life. So just accept it. That's okay. It's not like a light switch where things come on and off. It's like these things will surface periodically throughout your life, but you're going to be more equipped and more powerful to handle it. And that, I think, is the greatest gift of going through the yuck, right? Is what we get to do when we come through the other side. And I think a beautiful mindset shift, and I'm not the first person to say this, life is happening for us, not to us. So in every situation that we're in, there is something that we can take from it that has a silver lining or a learning or something that provides us an opportunity. And if we slow down enough and take ourselves out of it and look at it from a bird's eye view, and remove ourselves from it, we usually can find those gifts within, if that makes sense. So yeah, it's a journey. And that's, I think, what's so important. It's the journey.
Absolutely. And I want to go back to another really important piece that you mentioned is the piece about, you're not alone. Mm-hmm. So all of us, have been on a wellness journey, are on a wellness journey. And so many of us have experienced exactly or something similar or something worse than what our listeners and our audience have experienced. And I think it is really important to understand that there are other people that are there to support you. So saying that, is that part of the inspiration behind, the Wellness Warrior membership? Is that the intent?
100%. And you and I have talked off. You and I've talked Wellness Warrior till we're blue in the face. It's like a passion project for us. The Wellness Warrior really came to fruition because I imagined what it was like when I was like, okay, I'm not well. I'm not going to my actual, GP. I want to be proactive. And that was the key thing. It's like, who can help me become proactive? And then also realizing again, because I was still a little addicted to busy, I didn't have a lot of time. And also too, we all know that tapping into resources and trying things can get expensive. So that was really where that all came from, is how can we fill these needs for people to connect with people, build trust. That is the bottom line, is like, how can I get to know somebody without having to invest financially a lot, right? And how can we make an impact for people that can't afford support? So that's what the Wellness Warrior was really about, was giving people the opportunity to look at things that are different, things that are new. I mean, it's amazing, you know, it's becoming obviously more mainstream, but there's still people out there that have never understood or have never tried meditation. So, you know, many of us that are here, I recognize a lot of faces. We live more in that proactive lifestyle, but guess what? There are people out there that have no idea. When you talk about an essential oil or a chakra, and I mean, trust me, I'm learning about new modalities every single day. I do not know them all. I'm like amazed at what's out there. But when we talk about these different things, there are people that still don't know it exists. And the Wellness Warrior is about giving people a portal and an opportunity to invest 15 minutes a day in their own personal journey to find what inspires them to step in. So whether it's intuitively, whether it's through looking through the resources and connecting with somebody and finding like, oh, I like how this person talks, or maybe this person feels good to me, or, oh, that's cool. You know, some people have only seen, let's talk about hypnosis therapy. Some people have only seen stuff like that in the movies. And you know what usually happens to the people that get hypnotized, right? That doesn't happen in real life. We get, you know, it actually works on subconscious healing. So it's just this beautiful way of allowing people a very affordable way to access support, learn, and step in and try without being, you know, inundated and overwhelmed, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And I love that piece about, you know, being proactive. And yes, many of us that are here are proactive, but of course, Wellness Warrior is a passion for many of us because we didn't have these things, and we're proactive now, but we certainly weren't many years ago when we kind of started our wellness journey, which again is where this is all kind of coming from. So people who are interested in a Wellness Warrior membership and, you know, becoming a part of that community, what does that look like? You know, so they sign up, they get the membership, they enter the portal. What's available to them? What kind of resources are in there? What kind of learning tools? What can they expect?
That is a really great question. So there are some amazing members here right now. And actually, I think, Xandra, your video might be the feature of the day. I'm not really sure. I have to double check. But what you will see when they come in, which I love, is a daily dose of wellness. So they have access to a feature video of the day talking about a specific modality and teaching something, inspiring them into action in some way that might be different than what they're doing. There'll be a blog. There will be articles that they can research. We have a beautiful quote with an inspirational question to get people thinking about different ways of healing. We have a library of resources. We have a theme of the month. So this month is Joyous July, and really looking at ways to bring joy into your life and connecting to joy spiritually in your mind, body, and soul. So there's really different ways for them to tap in. And then of course, obviously they have access to all the members that are professional members, the events that are hosted by our members, and just opportunities to connect and really dig in, which is so beautiful. So from our member side of things, we're really excited because we get to champion them. But what's really cool too, from the Wellness Warrior side, is when people sign up for a Wellness Warrior, which really is less than one specialty coffee a month, so it's extremely affordable. What's really special is we gift out a membership on behalf of that individual. So remember I was saying like accessibility, I've met lots of people in my journey, my personal wellness journey, who can't afford to try things. And this is why having that content available is so important. Obviously, our goal is to lead people into full time, lead people into really stepping in to support and getting engaged with our professional members. However, there are going to be people out there that can't afford to do that. So with a gifted membership, they'll have access to all of those resources for a year. So those professionals are championing wellness with individuals that one day might be able to afford to step in and work with them. So that philanthropy piece is so important because we want wellness to be accessible to everybody. So it's a really powerful and exciting project. It's very near and dear to my heart, and it's something that we're constantly evolving. So what you see today on the website is not going to necessarily what you're going to see in a month from now. We're always adding things. We have incredible members that want to do more or showcase more things. Hence, Marcy, you wanted to create this event. So we put this event on to support wellness warriors. So you never know what's going to be added and what's going to be available. So that's really what people can experience. But the passion behind it is just inspiring people to spend 15 minutes a day on themselves and their wellness. We all know the power of 15 minutes. It can change your life. It can change your trajectory. It can impact your children, your children's children. I mean, the ripple effect is incredible. So that's the inspiration. That's the part that makes me smile, honestly.
Well, I mean, that's beautiful and incredible, because that 15 minutes, like you said, is breaking that cycle. It's breaking that pattern of the busyness and the stress. And it's teaching us that it's okay to take those 15 minutes for ourselves. And it's teaching our kids that they can take that 15 minutes for themselves too. And like you said, further down the line. So before we get to some questions, I will open it up. If anybody has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. I just wanted to ask you about, the whole idea of body, mind, and soul. You mentioned it a couple of times within Wellness Warrior, but what does that really look like, and why is that important?
For me, what it means to me personally is we are all things. And I was raised to believe that if I was sick, it was a physical thing. And I learned through my own experience that I was sick, mind, body, and soul. And I learned, because I'm telling you, like I said, I had the abs. I was like ripped, and I was fit, and I was strong, and I was lean, and I have never been more unhealthy in my whole life. So I had the body piece figured out, but only the physical. I didn't have my internal physical body, my internal, gut track. I don't want to get into all the things, but none of it was functioning properly. And my internal dialogue. So my mind was working against me. I wasn't using it as a tool to fuel me. I was forgetting that, Xandra, you said it beautifully when you shared, it was a prayer that was toxic. I wasn't chanting, Jenny, you're amazing. Jenny, you can do it. Jenny, Jenny, Jenny. It was like, ugh, ugh, ugh. So that mind piece is so important. And then spirituality is so unique to all of us. And everybody's journey in a spiritual realm is going to be different. What I find so inspiring is there's so many different tools out there to support that part of our body and our mind and in the energy centers of who we are, that many of us don't know that it's there for us. And everybody has a system that they were raised in, or a belief system around spirituality, but there's a tool out there for everybody, every single person that fits in to what their belief system is. So having that mind, body, and soul tools for people to choose. Again, you've heard me say this for the last 20 minutes, choose, choose, choose. You get to choose what is in alignment. And what's beautiful is those doors, when you try something, it cracks open something new and a light shines in, right? And if you're curious, you can step forward and just push that door a little bit more. You never know what's going to be on that other side of that doorway. And that for me is what's so beautiful about mind, body, and soul. We are a whole being. And when I started tapping into take caring all of that, my life changed like 360. It was incredible.
Wonderful. So just kind of as we wrap up, one of the words that's coming to my mind in terms of Wellness Warrior is inspiring. What other words would you say, or is there a quote that you would apply to somebody, who might be curious about Wellness Warrior?
There's a quote that I absolutely love, and I use this in my professional life, my family life, and my spiritual, my body life, is a goal is a dream with a deadline. And I remember I talked about, like, at the beginning, I had to pick one thing. Start with something. What are you dreaming of? What do you want your life to be like? Where do you want it to go? Many of us wait till we literally see the grill of the bus running us over before we take action. So what would it mean if you set a goal today and moved into that dream state, that dream lifestyle? Don't let the bus hit you. I mean, I had the Mac, I could see the Mac truck symbol like right here, and it like literally tried to run me over. Don't wait till that Mac truck grill is, and no disrespect to Mac trucks. I mean, I probably picked it because it looked like Optimus Prime, but that's, that's what I see. So don't wait. Remember, a goal is a dream with a deadline. It's really, really impactful. That's what I would say. You're worth it. You're worth 15 minutes. You're worth it.
Absolutely. And again, treating yourself to that deserving time for you and taking care of you is only going to make you and everyone else in your life so much better. For those of you who are interested in Wellness Warrior, all of the information can be found on the Your Holistic Earth website. And Jenny, thank you so much for being here, for sharing this. And really, I don't think, we all are waiting with anticipation to see what is next for Your Holistic Earth. And of course, what is next for Wellness Warrior, because this isn't just a membership, it really is a movement. And the intention is for support to everyone on their wellness journey, no matter where they are at.
Thank you so much for having me.